Welcome to Ready to Realign, and today our topic is what is your relationship to food? As part of the emotional eating module of Ready to Realign, today we're going to be talking about three different kind of relationships that you might have with food. The first relationship is you have a working relationship with food. You have a healthy working relationship with food. Food and you both are acquaintances who work in the same company, the company of your body, and you and food both have mutual respect for each other, and you work well at the workplace, and you're a good team, right? But you don't have any emotional bonding to food. It's not like you hang out with food after work, or you go out with friends and you call food, hey food, come along, we're going to hang out with friends. Generally, you don't call food to your parties. Generally, when you're at home, you're just sitting around, you don't think, hey, let me call a food and let me hang out with food. No, because food is just a great working partner, but he's at work. And outside of work, outside a functional relationship between food, like yes, food helps to keep me healthy and my bones strong and works for my body. Other than that, you don't have any emotional bond to food. So that's the first relationship, a healthy functioning acquaintance relationship. Now the second relationship with food is your best friend. Food and you hang out all the time. The minute work is over, if it's been a big long day and you're like, food, let's go hang out with drinks. So you and food go and hang out with drinks. Sometimes your other friends join you. Sometimes you're just at home and you're like, oh, I've had a tiring day. And you open Netflix or you open the TV, but you could be spending time just with the TV, but you're like, just having my best friend around just makes things so much more fun. So you call food along with you whenever you are like having a good time, like a meeting for parties. You're like, hey, no party is complete without your best friend, food. And whenever you go for other parties, you always ask, is food going to be there? When is food coming? What time will food be there? So no matter what relationship or whatever event in your life is, food is super important to you in those times. Like say you're watching a great sunset, or it's raining, and the rain in itself is such a beautiful experience, and you're listening to music, and that in itself is such a great experience. But that your food being your best friend just makes things that much more fun. You're watching the rain and you're like, God, I wish I could watch this beautiful rain with my best friend food. And so you like call up some pakoras or chips or chocolates, or just something to really, you love food to be there, because it just heightens any experience and your entire life, because food is your best friend. Also, food has helped you deal with a lot of your emotional support. So not just in your good times, like you want food around, like for parties, you're like, hey, food, where are you? Or it's your birthday, you're like, oh God, I'm going to have so much great time with my best friend, food. But also when you're sad, or when you're irritated, or when you're frustrated, you reach out to your best friend, food, before anything else. Now that is great, but if you look back at all your times with your food and you think of it like, wow, we've had some amazing times, haven't we? I mean, as best friends, we've just had the best time together. If that is your feeling with food, then that is also amazing, because it's a best friend for you and it's working, right? But when does it become a problem? When you start to get possessive about your best friend, and that can happen a lot of times. When you start to get codependent, you know what a codependent relationship is? And codependent relationships are never healthy. So you get codependent on your best friend. You just can't function when food is not around. When you are depressed, you're like, hey, where's my food? Food is going to solve this. And when food is not around, you get hangry, you get angry and frustrated and hungry. You're like, where is food? So that kind of codependent situation is not healthy. So you want to, Look at your relationship with food. If you have a really great friend, best friend relationship, and you really enjoy each other's company, and you don't think it's hampering the working of your life or the working of the company where you both work in, that is the body, then that's great too. But just realize, are you in a codependent relationship, or are you getting too possessive about your food and expect it to be there for every moment of your life? And if food is not there, say you're at a party and people say that, oh, food is not coming today, do you get really angry? Or you are at a pretty fun event and people say that food is going to come late, or food is not going to be there, or food is going to show up at the other place, then do you feel like, oh, I shouldn't have come here anyway, since food is not here, it's no more fun for me, those kind of things. Now, the third kind of relationship with food, and this is called a toxic relationship. What is this toxic relationship? It is when you are secretly in love with food. Food is not just a best friend now. Food is someone you lust after. Food is someone you shouldn't be having this kind of feelings for food, but you do. And so you have this on-off relationship with food, this toxic relationship around food. You have a great time, over the weekend, you really spend all your, lustful desires on food. And then the next day you feel guilt and shame for having spent time with food, because you feel it is incorrect, it is wrong, and it is harmful, and you are ashamed to even tell people that, oh my god, I spent so much time with food, binging overnight, and but you can't get away from it also. So you are in this love-hate relationship with food. You love food and you hate food because of what it makes you feel, right? So at one moment you can't stay away from food. So you cannot trust yourself around food. So you are in this kind of lustful desire for food. So whenever you see food at a party, you can't just go up and say, hi food, okay, this was great meeting, and just have some friendly banter. No, you are going to lose yourself in the food, right? So you are scared to go to the party. You keep telling yourself, no, I'm not going to have food. No, I'm not going to have food. I'm not going to give in to my desires. But once you're there, you lose all control over yourself, and you binge. And then the next day you feel shame and guilt, and you say, I'm never going to eat. And then you have this break off period, and for 2 days you're like, oh my god, I'm going to go on a strict diet. And then, but it's like you're always thinking about food. It's not like a clean, and it's not like you are emotionless in this period when you've broken off with food. You're like, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to meet him, I'm not going to check up on food, but you're constantly thinking about food. Okay, it's been an hour. Okay, I didn't have breakfast. Okay, I didn't have lunch. What could be there for dinner? And you're scrolling on Instagram, on other websites, and checking up on food, and you're just being that obsessive ex-girlfriend, obsessive secret admirer, obsessive stalker. So you're like this stalker of food, and you cannot control yourself around food. So and there's a lot of guilt and shame afterwards, but there's a lot of lustful desire just before and during that your interaction with food, during your relationship with food. And so you can just see that this is just totally not a healthy relationship for you. You are either blinded by desire, you have no control over yourself, and the next day it makes you feel guilty, embarrassed, ashamed of yourself, and you're beating yourself, and you say, okay, I'm not. So it's an on and off relationship. So you're there, and then you're not there, and then you're there, and then you're not there. And so it's a yo-yoing what people have a yo-yo diet. So you go from binge to starvation, and this is just not helping anyone. You're in an obsessive, toxic relationship with food. So what do you do with any kind of toxic relationship, be it with, real partners or just anyhow, like when you are obsessed with someone in your life, right? You need to take a break. You need to break up with food and break up cleanly after you have understood why you need to break up with food. And for that, we will have the next episodes, because this is like really complicated relationships we have with food, right? What I'm trying to say is never so clean. A lot of people have the first kind of functioning relationship with food, and these are the kind of health nutritional coaches, or people who are automatically, who we say, oh, they are super thin or they are super fit, because they don't have any emotions about food. Food is just an acquaintance they meet at work. For body, the food just has no emotions with it. But for people who deal with emotions, you want to be in a relationship of a friend, or maybe even a good friend. Maybe not your best friend. Food need not be your best friend. But so how do you scale back from food being your best possessive friend to just being a good friend amongst many other friends that you have in your life, like your many other hobbies? And if food is not there, you can still survive and you can still hang out with other friends and still feel happy. So how are we going to get to that relationship with food is what this segment of the Ready to Realign is about. We're going to do a lot of journaling, a lot of unpacking, but I want you today to write down all the different relationships you have had with food, and they may not be as clear cut as these three which I've said, right? Because it may be that you are in a toxic relationship with your food, but your family members and your friends are in this great bonding friends with food. Okay, so they like make food the ghar jamai in your house, and you know that you cannot control yourself around food, and so you're in this always toxic relationship around food. So how do you break up with food while your entire family and all your friends just love food? So there's a lot of complex things that you need to unpack before we can really solve this really interesting conversation around what is your relationship with food. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Leave down in the comments what is your relationship with food, what has been your relationship with food, what is your current relationship with food, and I am going to share in my email exactly what my relationship was and where our relationship status is right now with food. Bye. I'll see you into the next video.